Welcome, HeelCast Nation. I am the host this week, Hurls. It's been a while. I know some of you are asking, are we folding? Are we not going to do the podcast no more? No, that's not true. We've just been very, very busy with basically life. But we do have a podcast this week. I'm also joined by the one, the only, Fool Killer 9, FK9. How's it going?
How's it going? Well, we got Impact Wrestling taping TV in India. We got WWE Raw doing its lowest ratings in 20 years. We got Attack on Titan Season 2 finally being released. Things are looking good right now, man.
Wow, I don't even know. I've never even watched Attack on Titan, but I know that Season 2 is airing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's been in the can for what, like over 10 years, right?
Not that long. Longer than a lot of people would think. I think Season 1 came out in like 2013 or something. So it's been gestating for quite a while.
Oh, wow. Wow. But anyways, I just want to say that we have minimal news, but I just want to do a little plugs here. Make sure you check out Diva Dirt with our very own Numero 47. He's not been on for a while. I'm not sure when he will be on, but please check his stuff out there. Check out our one and only FK9's own podcast. He does FK9. You do that weekly, correct?
Every Saturday.
So check out that. Check out King of the Mountain podcast, good friends of ours, BQ and company. Also, check out Andre Corbeil. He's one of our most he's a great listener. He always comments. He always says nothing but positive things. So check out Andre Corbeil. I believe he does his own podcast as well. So make sure you check him out. All right. The news this week, we don't have a ton, but we got some stuff. Obviously, we know right now Impact is over in India recording what I believe is night 2 of their Impact tapings. They're only supposed to be there. They were there, I believe, yesterday and today. So today is night 2 for them. So there's been some photos leaked around of what the crowd looks like. It looks pretty similar to the Impact Zone, but it looks like a little more people. FK9, what are your thoughts on the Impact in India?
I was a little bit underwhelmed when the photos came out, because it looked like they're not playing in an arena that's much bigger than the Impact Zone. In fact, it seemed about the same size as the Impact Zone. So I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, well, they finally get out of Universal Studios, go all the way around the friggin' world, and to play to a crowd that's like the same size as the one they're always in front of. So it's a little bit of a downer there. But hey, if the fans are awake, if they're making some kind of profit on this, which I assume they would if Sony 6 is footing the bill for this, fingers crossed, then I guess it's all worth it.
I want to say it looks like it was the same place that they filmed Ranka King, which was kind of similar to the Impact Zone as well. They're close in size, they're close in look, but it does look like this place does have a little more people. If you look at it, it's more round, so there's people all around the arena, unlike the Impact Zone where it seems real one side friendly, and the camera side, there's really nobody over there. So this looks a little bit better, I would say, but yeah, you almost think that they could have gotten a bigger arena, because India is not a hotbed for wrestling. I mean, they're pretty wrestling starved. So you feel like, okay, maybe they could have gotten a bigger arena for this. But nonetheless, it's very cool that they're one of the first companies to ever tape a live wrestling show, or at least a U.S.
I think
promotion.
The first, actually.
Yeah, the first. So that's really cool that Impact was the first. And obviously WWE is looking at this and realizing that they got to step up their India market, a la giving the belt to Jinder Mahal. So I think that's a big reason why WWE is doing what they're doing. But Impact was very proactive in getting this market to be one of their big strong suits. And Sony 6, I believe, is their most lucrative contract. It may be different now with the Spike TV contract. I'm not positive. But nonetheless, very cool that Impact's over in India. I can't wait to see these. FK9, do you know when these Impacts will be airing? It's not this week, correct?
Yeah, it's not this week. I think there's either one more week or two in the Impact Zone, but then they're off to India. Not sure which, but it's one or two, so it's coming up pretty soon.
Cool. I'm definitely looking forward to that. I can't wait to see the crowd's reaction, and hopefully this time Scott Steiner won't scare half the crowd away.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that in the Ring Kick King tapings.
Oh, boy. Let's just say they treat him like Godzilla over there. But anyways, that was our first bit of news. Our second bit of news is we have one departure that we kind of knew about, but it was never really confirmed until this week. There was a report. Aiden O'Shea, who has been on this show before, he is no longer in Impact Wrestling. We kind of figured that once he wasn't used. He's kind of a Billy Corgan boy, so he'll be used mostly in Billy Corgan's new NWA, whatever that means. But Aiden O'Shea, I thought there was a lot of potential. We just didn't really get to see it. He didn't get a lot of airtime, but I hope his new endeavor works out for him. FK9, what's your thoughts on Aiden O'Shea no longer a part of the Impact Wrestling roster?
To be honest, I kind of thought he left a while ago. We haven't seen him since Billy Corgan left, so I kind of figured the writing was on the wall. If he wasn't gone, he would be imminently, so it kind of sucks for him because he was finally getting some TV time again. So I kind of lament what could have been there, but at least he's a Billy Corgan guy, so he'll be getting some kind of work with the new version of NWA that's starting up. So at least he's keeping busy, which is nice.
Yeah, definitely. And the last bit of news, I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing about this, and I'm tired of talking about it. I'm going to keep it short and sweet, my opinion. Maybe FK9 will have more on it, but the ongoing saga between Ed Norholm, Dutch Mantel, Reby Hardy, and Matt Hardy continues. Yeah, there's a lot, but I have an opinion on it, and I'll give it after we kind of just break the news about it. Basically what happened was Ed Nordholm basically released all the text messages. He documented every single time they had contact. He documented what Matt Hardy said. He talked about the whole Ring of Honor situation and what was allowed and what wasn't allowed. Ring of Honor didn't follow the directions. So if there were people that were upset that Impact Wrestling made Ring of Honor pull the whole broken gimmick, that is not on Impact, that is on Ring of Honor for not following the directions that was discussed. And basically just stating that Impact Wrestling holds the character rights, the IP. And that was later confirmed when Matt Hardy's trademark, he tried to get the rights to the broken character. It was denied. So now Matt Hardy is threatening, saying he's going to take a more serious approach and he's going to go after Ed Nordholm more than he has, which is kind of laughable because he hasn't won at anything yet. But anyways, FK9, please feel free to add to the story and give your take on it.
Well, if Ed Nordholm released all that information, then I trust Ed Nordholm to have the I's dotted and the T's crossed in terms of how this situation was handled once Anthem took over. What I'm less certain about is how thoroughly it was handled during the Dixie regime, because that's when the whole thing was birthed. It was last summer before Anthem took over, so I'm not sure about that. But this whole time, I was pretty certain that Impact had the rights, because it was produced under their umbrella. It appeared on their show exclusively, so it kind of stands to reason that it would be Impact Wrestling's intellectual property to do with as they wish, regardless of whose idea it was. And apparently it was a lot of different people's ideas, so it doesn't really matter at this point. But I kind of figured it was gonna turn out in their favor. So they're kind of exposing Rebby as a bit of a liar in this situation because she claimed to have all that stuff trademarked, and now it apparently turns out that she did not. But now Matt says he's going after them and whatever. It's just turning into a big case of he said, she said, and who the hell's at fault. And you know what? I don't even care who's at fault anymore. I'm with you, man. I'm kind of sick of hearing about this. And it's kind of pointless anyway because apparently WWE doesn't even want to use the gimmick. So who benefits from dragging this out? You're just going to have two sides, just two like snakes just hissing at each other, spitting at each other. It's just going to waste a lot of time and a lot of money on both sides. And who really benefits, ultimately? Nobody. So can't we just squash this and move on?
I'm praying for that. Unfortunately, my prayers haven't been answered yet, but hopefully in due time they will be. That's just the thing that I'm seeing. Like, WWE doesn't really have interest to use it because if they did, they would have talked to Ed Norholm in the emails that he showed the whole world that they didn't have interest in it. Dave Meltzer wants to say that WWE does have interest in it, but they don't because the emails would have reflected that. And Matt Hardy can't get the gimmick. It's something WWE doesn't even want to try anyway.
Yeah, not surprising. Vince has a long history of this. He doesn't want it because he didn't create it. Exactly. He has it in his head that if he didn't create it, then it sucks. Mm-hmm. That's Vince McMahon. So it's not surprising that he doesn't want to do it.
Right, because if he wanted to do it, he would have done it in a different wrestler with Bully Ray. He would have brought that gimmick to WWE, but he never did.
Yeah, plus he already tried to do the Broken Universe stuff, too. He tried it with the New Day invading the Wyatt family compound. And that went over like a lead balloon, and he hasn't tried it since.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. It was just screamed copycat, and it was a really bad copycat at that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole situation just needs to be dropped. And, you know, Matt Hardy, it just seems like he didn't want to leave Impact. Because if he did, he'd be able to get over this. And I know he wants to bring it to WWE, but he's got to realize at this point it's not going to happen. So he's just wasting breath, in my opinion. And Rebby just keeps looking more childish than she has before. I mean, not only is Rebby hurting Matt Hardy, she's hurting the whole brand and something that was, you know, so over in 2016. It's just kind of sad now that it's not looked at in a positive light anymore. So I honestly think their best course of action is to A, come up with a new gimmick, or just drop it altogether. That's really all I have on the situation. Do you have any more comments, FK9, about it?
Not really. I think coming up with a new gimmick is going to be problematic because now they're in WWE and they're mainly treated as a nostalgia act, albeit one that's booked a lot better than the Dudley Boys were when they came back. It seems like they're just doing the old Hardy Boys Team Extreme thing, and they're not really trying to go outside the box. I guess they just want to do what the WWE fans are familiar with. So, like we all suspected, Matt goes back to WWE, and suddenly he finds out that the creative freedom that he enjoyed in Impact Wrestling is pretty much gone. So, a new gimmick, yeah, that's unlikely.
All right, on to Impact. We had a show this week. We had the opening segment we had with Bruce Pritchard and Tyrus. And Pritchard said that EC3's actions from last week are under review. Then Lashley comes out, and he wants to know who he's going to defend the title against Slammiversary. Then EC3 comes out, James Storm and Magnus all come out and say they want to have their number one contenders match right now. But Bruce Pritchard said it is the main event, and if you touch each other before then, you will be suspended. He also said that the match was going to be a no DQ match. What did you think of this opening segment?
I think this segment covered the ground that it needed to cover, but it didn't do it very well. For starters, Bruce Pritchard kind of shit the bed in this segment. He did not carry this thing very well. First of all, he's talking about, well, he's got protection now because of what happened with EC3 last week, and he says, "Oh, EC3, your actions will be under review, and violence against management will not be tolerated, and these actions will be dealt with accordingly." And I said this on my show. It's like he's scolding an employee for saying a bad word in the workplace or something. This is a guy who physically assaulted him, and honestly, he kind of sounds bored. It's like, where is the anger? Where's the emotion? There isn't any. It's like, so psychologically, it just didn't track. Then you've got the unintentional comedy with him having Tyrus, of all people, to protect him. Yeah, Tyrus, who used to be EC3's bitch, is going to protect Pritchard from EC3. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, thankfully, you get other people coming out there. Okay, Lashley wants to know who his opponent is. Okay, fine. You get James Storm, you get EC3. They're fine. And then Magnus comes out, and I don't understand this thing with him and Pritchard at all. He says he came back to wage a war against Bruce Pritchard's reign of tyranny when Pritchard really hasn't done anything wrong. Like, the worst offense that he committed against Magnus was telling Magnus to defend his championship. And now Magnus is pissed off because he lost the GFW championship that he thought was a golden ticket to the main event of Slammiversary. But as we found out in this very episode, not only was it not a golden ticket to the main event of Slammiversary, it's actually worse. And he's better off without it because the winner of the match that he competed in, that Bruce Pritchard put him in, the winner of that match was allowed to bypass the GFW World Champion and go to the main event of Slammiversary while the GFW World Champion was cut out of that equation. So I don't know why Magnus is upset. Because if anything, Bruce Pritchard did him a favor. But he's still acting like he hates Pritchard for some reason. It doesn't make sense. As the details just aren't adding up in that one. So I kind of feel like there was a lack of attention to detail in that storyline by the writers. I'd like to see them pay a little more attention there. Also, Magnus, he needs to brush up on his insults. But she's C3? It's kind of lame, dude. Yeah, so it accomplished what it needed to, but the segment could have been better, honestly.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Like, I feel we haven't really gotten to see Bruce Pritchard's best mic skills since he's returned. He just hasn't been too sharp with anything or real crisp. He hasn't really found his niche, so to speak. I mean, I know he can do it. He was Brother Love. He got that over real well. So I just think he needs to be a stronger authority figure, and he's got to come up with the shtick, and I don't think he has that right now. And throwing Tyrus in there, okay, yeah, it kind of makes sense if he wants to use the whole fact that, oh, he's the fixer and he paid him to have his back. But the problem with that is we haven't really seen Tyrus be the fixer for a good 6 months. So it's just kind of like, okay, we're bringing him back as the fixer, but he was teaming up with Eli Drake. I don't know. I just think that they need to make that a little more clear if Tyrus is still the fixer and you can still pay for his services.
He wasn't acting like the fixer even when he was doing that gimmick. They aired promos for it, but they never did anything with it.
Right. I mean, it was too close to the APA as well. It was like, you know, we've seen this before, but he didn't even really use the gimmick that well. So I don't know. It just seems like they're bringing this up and they find use for it when it's convenient. I'm just kind of indifferent on that. They just need to be a little more clear on that. As far as the promo itself, I had issue with that as well. Like, we all thought the GFW heavyweight title was the golden ticket to get your title shot at Slammiversary. All of a sudden, it's not. So then what does that leave Alberto El Patron, who won the title? See, that's the part where it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, that's very confusing. I don't think the audience ever thought it was the golden ticket. I think the situation is Magnus believed it was, and he kept saying it was. But I think several weeks ago, Karen Jarrett flat out said, yeah, that's not a golden ticket to anything, Magnus. It's just not. But he kept reiterating this. He kept saying, no, it's the golden ticket. He's like, no, but no, she said it wasn't. But he keeps acting like it is, and then he's pissed off that he lost it, but it doesn't mean anything. They keep trying to beat us over the head with the idea that this GFW stuff is really important when it's clearly not. They don't seem to understand the disconnect between the GFW stuff and the audience because as far as I can figure out, most of the fans really don't give a shit about GFW and they're just waiting for this to not be a thing anymore.
Right, and maybe to further your point, I remember the promo a few weeks ago that Magnus was talking to Karen, and Karen called Magnus a one-time heavyweight champion, and Magnus corrected her, saying he was a three-time champion, one Impact, one Ring King, and one GFW. So maybe the whole thing is that Magnus is a little delusional, and Karen's trying to tell him the truth, and he doesn't want to hear it. I don't know. I'm not sure about this, but nonetheless, we had our main event set for the night. The first match of the night, we had KM and Congo Kong versus Mahabali Shera and Braxton Sutter. Now, KM and Congo Kong were with Sienna, and Braxton Sutter and Mahabali Shera were with Ali. So, FK9, what did you think of this match?
I don't really remember a whole lot about it, to be honest with you. I remember what the women did because, well, let's be honest, this whole feud started as being about the women, and then it kind of got away from that to being more focused on Braxton Sutter, which in my opinion has hurt the feud a lot. Not that I dislike Sutter, but they've been kind of using him as the focal point and kind of having Ali as an extension of Sutter, when in my opinion it really should be the opposite. Because Ali is one of the hottest characters in the company not that long ago, and then they kind of took the focus off her for some reason, and she cooled down a little bit. So I don't know what's going on there. I think that's a mistake, but I remember Ali pulling Laurel Van Ness off the ring apron when she was trying to get involved, and then her and Sienna chasing Ali around the ring, and then Ali taking them out with the crossbody. I remember that. Don't really remember anything that happened in the match. And I remember the post-match stuff, because that was awesome. But what are your thoughts on the match before we get to that?
I thought it was a decent match. I like KM and Congo Kong as a team. I mean, they're kind of opposite, but they work well with each other. The question I have for you is, how much have you enjoyed Mahabali Shera since Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantel have taken over? Has it been more since the new regime took over, or has it been less, or about the same? What's your thoughts on him?
I feel like it's about the same. He's a guy who's there because they have a TV deal in India, so they feel like they need an Indian wrestler. He's like a place filler. They plug him into a spot here, a spot there, just to get the guy some TV time and feature the Indian dude. But he's still very, very green, so there isn't a whole lot they can do with him. So maybe they put him in some tag matches, try to protect him a little bit, not expose him too much. But he's not a guy that's going to get pushed to the moon anytime soon. And he probably shouldn't be. Even though I don't think he's untalented. I just think they just put him in the spotlight before he was ready. Not really his fault. But yeah, I mean, he hasn't been used that much, really. He shows up a week here, a week there. I don't really have a problem with it as long as he doesn't get shoved down my throat.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like his matches have been way better since the new regime's taken over. I don't know if they know how to hide his weaknesses and focus on his strengths. I don't know if he's just actually improved in the ring. I feel his matches are a lot better, and I feel like he's actually kind of getting the fans to take him seriously, and they're also kind of getting behind him a little bit. At least that's what I've noticed. I'm not going to say he's the best technical wrestler since Bret Hart or anything like that, but I feel like his matches have gotten a lot more watchable lately, and I feel like Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantel know how to book him to make him not as cringeworthy as, before you'd be like, oh, it's a Mahabali Shera match, oh great. But now it's actually like, okay, I can kind of see where they're coming from, because I mean, let's not forget that he was the last Ring King champion. So, and Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantel were the ones who were booking that show. So I feel like, they kind of know, they have high hopes for him, and they kind of know how to book him. And obviously with the India, deal and the tour coming up, he's going to be held in pretty high regard, I would imagine. So anyways, we had KM and Congo Kong win the match. Afterwards, we had Sienna and Laurel Van Ness start to gang up on Ali. Ali did her best to fight them off, but an unusual friend helped Ali out, that being the one, the only, Rosemary. Rosemary saves the day. thus pretty much completing the face turn, I would say. I know she was kind of showing hints of a face turn a few weeks before, probably since the LAX or the DK funeral. But now I think it's a definite face turn right here with Rosemary helping Allie, who, by the way, on the Indies was one of her most brutal adversaries. So, FK9, what did you think of Rosemary coming to help out Allie?
I jumped out of my seat and marked the fuck out for this. You don't understand, man. I've been waiting to see this for a year. I've said this a million times on my show. Rosemary and Allie, a.k.a. Courtney Rush and Cherry Bomb, is the best rivalry in women's wrestling, period. These two, I don't know what happens. There's some kind of crazy black magic that sparks between these two when they get together, but they know how to sell a feud better than anyone I've seen in I don't know how long. Just their feud in Smash Wrestling, the promos, the character work was friggin' genius. So I've been waiting for this for so long. We've had Cherry Bomb and Courtney Rush in the same company for a year, and they've never interacted. And I was okay with that because I've always said, well, when they finally have a feud, when they finally get together, they'll be able to print money with this thing. But they got to do it right. They got to do it right place, right time. So if they're not going to feud, keep them away from each other. So I was fine with this. But when they finally share a segment, I was so excited. Oh my God, waiting for this for so long, it finally happened. And apparently they're going to be maybe aligned or friends or something, which kind of makes sense. I guess you kind of have to have Rosemary as a babyface right now because of the sympathy from the Decay and everything. Plus, it's an interesting character switch for her. That's fine. And you're building a relationship with her and Allie that you can build on and do stuff with later. And you don't really understand the nuances of it because, okay, Rosemary's got some kind of fascination with Allie. We don't know what exactly that's about yet, but it's interesting, and we're gonna see them play off each other, which I'm so excited for. This was great. I don't remember shit about the match, but I rewatched the segment with them finally coming face to face. I watched that over and over on YouTube. I got that clip favorited. This was fantastic. I love this part.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Rosemary as a face is going to work out just fine. She had a year-long reign as being the top heel pretty much in Impact Wrestling. So I really like the fact that she's going to be a face and help out Allie because obviously you gotta fend off Sienna and Laurel Von Ness. So I like the fact that she came to her rescue. I thought it was really well done, and I'm very excited to see where this goes.
How about that reaction for Rosemary too?
Oh yes, definitely. I mean, she's got quite the fan following, and it's only been a little over a year.
Yeah. It does kind of make you wonder what Gail Kim's going to be when she comes back now, though. So is Gail going to have to be a heel now?
That's a good question.
Because they still got to pay off that
with Gail?
I don't know. To be honest, I'm not in any hurry to see her come back. I don't mean that in a bad way, but as we've seen over the past number of months, when Gail isn't there, the other women get spotlighted in ways that they don't get spotlighted when she is there. So, Gail is still injured, maybe not cleared yet. I'm just saying, hey, Gail, maybe take your time. Don't come back immediately. I'm all right with it. I'm enjoying seeing the other girls get some time in the limelight here. Just take your time.
Definitely. I mean, have her in a different feud, non-knockouts title, and I'd be fine with that. Definitely when she comes back, at least, too. So, all right, our next match we had was for the GFW Tag Team Title Tournament. We had the Veterans of War facing Fallah Bahh and Mario Baccara. Now, this Veterans of War, Mario Baccara and Fallah Bahh, do they have a tag team name by any chance?
Not that I know of.
Okay. I thought it was a decent match. I didn't think it was anything better than a decent match. I like Mario Baccara. I think he has potential. I'm not sure what Fallah Bahh can be, just besides the fact that he looks like a mini Yokozuna. I'm not saying he's bad. No disrespect, but I'm not really sure. And I don't know how sold I am on I believe his name was Wilcox. I'm not sure how sold I am on him. I know he's been wrestling for a while. I know he was in Ring of Honor, and he was the former NWA heavyweight champion. But I know what Mayweather/Crimson can do. I've seen his stuff for a long time. But anyways, Veterans of War get the win here in the tournament. What did you think of this match?
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a decent match. I think we all knew who was going over. I don't dislike Ba and Bokara, but they've been booked like enhancement talent so far, so whatever. I don't dislike the Veterans of War. I've gone on record saying I think they'd be better as heels. But I was always a big Crimson guy, so I like him. I don't know a whole lot about Wilcox/Jack Stain. People have told me he's really good. So, okay, I've liked him so far. Basically just an enhancement match for the guys that we knew were going over. All right, fine. They didn't drag it out too long. I think both teams would be better served facing smaller, faster guys because you got 4 bigger dudes in this match, so not the most fast-paced thing in the world, but decent enhancement match, I guess. I just wish this quote-unquote tournament was for some kind of prize that actually meant something. Unfortunately, it's for the GFW tag titles. And why are we even having a tournament for the GFW tag titles when the company doesn't even exist anymore? It's stupid. The titles are vacant. Why do we need new champions? Just throw the belts away. Ugh.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's just pointless. It just seems like, they have a semi-storyline they can do in the meantime while they figure out what their main storyline is going to be. This is the second time we've seen these tag teams wrestle before. They did wrestle on one of the one-night-onlys. I can't remember which one exactly. It might have been one a month or so ago. But, it was a decent match. It's nothing to write home about. It just got Veterans of War over, make them look good. I don't have necessarily a problem with that. But I don't know. I just hope it's not as predictable as it's seeming with Veterans of War going to face LAX for the GFW tag team title. So we'll see if I'm wrong. But anyways, the next segment, we had Josh Mathews, who came out, and he called Jeremy Borash to the ring. And Josh Mathews basically said he was sorry for all the stuff he put Jeremy Borash through. And Josh Mathews wanted to shake Jeremy Borash's hand, but before he could do that, Joseph Park came out. And Joseph Park basically said to Josh Mathews, Jeremy will not shake your hand. And I thought this part was kind of weird, but as soon as Joseph Park said that, Josh Mathews' apology was over with. He wanted a match with Joseph Park. Joseph Park accepted the match, but all of a sudden, the big bad booty daddy himself, Scott Steiner, came out, made his return to Impact, and beat down Joseph Park. He put him in the Steiner recliner, and Josh Mathews later says that it's going to be a match at Slammiversary. It's going to be Josh Mathews and Scott Steiner versus Joseph Park and Jeremy Borash at Slammiversary. FK9, I have a feeling where you're going to go with this. Let's see if I'm right. What were your thoughts on this?
I may get some dirty looks from Brother _ and Raven Effect in the future for what I'm about to say, but Josh Mathews was the star of this segment. Josh Mathews made this segment. There's something that happens to this guy when he's asked to play a heel character, not just be the douchebag announcer that everyone thinks is boring, but playing a heel character. And I think it really helps that they added Joseph Park to this, because when those two are playing off each other, something just clicks. I don't know what it is, but when they added Joseph Park, this entire storyline suddenly became interesting. And maybe that's just because I'm a mark for the Joseph Park character, but suddenly I'm really interested in what Josh Mathews is doing, and a lot of that is just because of how Joseph Park is going to react and how Josh is reacting to Joseph Park. But this promo that he cut here was actually really good, not just when he was acting like humble and contrite and apologetic and whatever, but when he turned on a dime and said, no, I'm not sorry, I'm never going to apologize for anything, and he just starts going off on everybody, and he's actually finally getting like genuine heel heat, not X-Pac heat, but this is real heel heat. He plays like the snotty, annoying little pest character ridiculously well here, and it just makes you want to punch him in the face, and not because you want him off your TV, but because he's actually playing a good heel. So I actually thought he really sold me on this match in this segment. So I thought Josh Mathews did a hell of a job here, and I'm probably going to get rocks thrown at me later for that one, but that's the way I feel. Now, as far as Scott Steiner is concerned, well, I've had some not-so-nice things to say about Scott Steiner in the past, but if he's going to be cutting promos, okay, he's an entertaining promo. Nobody expects him to have a 5-star match. Thankfully, he's in a situation where he really doesn't need to have one, because he's going to be in, like, the special attraction match. It's going to be like the comedy match or the piss break match, where you're not expecting a 5-star classic, you're just expecting something entertaining. And I think if you put these personalities together in one match, you're probably going to get something entertaining. So I'm not expecting a classic. No one should be expecting a classic at the pay-per-view with these four. But I think it'll be funny, and it'll be entertaining, and it'll be worth watching. So beyond that, I don't care to see Scott Steiner wrestling, because that guy has got to be mostly crippled at this point. I think he was just kind of lumbering around the studio as he was chasing JB and Joseph Park. Wasn't really moving too fast because, good Lord, the guy's probably struggling to walk at this point. But as long as they don't try to do anything too crazy and strenuous, I think we'll wind up with something entertaining at the pay-per-view. Beyond that, I don't want to see him in the ring.
I agree with mostly everything you said. I haven't really enjoyed the bickering between Josh Mathews and Jeremy Borash during a match, but a lot of the times I find myself laughing at a lot of the stuff Josh Mathews says. And I agree. I think he's been a great heel. Obviously, the crowd, he gets the most heat right now out of any heel, I think. LAX is up there, but Josh Mathews is beating LAX or Bobby Lashley at heel heat right now. I think some of the things he's been saying, I think has been really good. And I'll be right there with you, FK9. I'll get killed by Raven Effect. I'll be getting killed by Brother Underscore and Kyle and Chef if they ever show back up. But, I actually enjoyed this. And I think Scott Steiner's in the perfect position. Yes, we do need the microphone in his hands at least some point in this feud. We got to hear him talk again, because you never know what you're going to get with him. But I think Scott Steiner, he doesn't have to do much. He's wrestling Joseph Park. His character is that he's not really a wrestler. He's kind of like an alley, where they were kind of just learning on the fly. So, we don't have to see a 5-star match, but it's going to be entertaining as hell. And, I can't wait to see what happens next in this feud. I personally am glad that Scott Steiner is back. Do I want to see him in the world title picture? No. But I think there's a role for him. I wouldn't mind if they put him in just some of these undercard feuds. He's a name, and he's from the Attitude Era, which arguably was the most watched era of any wrestling era we've ever had. So I'm okay with adding him to the mix as long as he's used in small spurts and he's not going to be shoved down our throats. So I enjoyed the return. I was happy to see Big Papa Pump back, and I think the dynamic with him and Josh Mathews could make for some great TV.
Yeah, and I am kind of stunned at how quickly they were able to save this angle from tanking, because until a couple of weeks ago, I had no desire to see this. I was like, every time they were pushing this angle, I'm like, why is this a thing? This is so WWE. I don't want to see it. It's stupid. But as soon as Joseph Park came into the equation, this completely turned around. And now I'm kind of actually looking forward to it. God, I can't believe I'm saying that about a Scott Steiner feud. But yeah, kudos to Joseph Park, and God damn it, kudos to Josh Mathews. Because give that guy some credit. He knows how to play a character that you just want to punch in the face.
Exactly. But moving on, we had a backstage segment where Moose and Eli Drake brawled until Chris Adonis helped Eli Drake beat down Moose. Does this feud, are you kind of confused about the feud, like who's supposed to be in it? Because does Eli Drake seem like a third wheel to you, or is it just me?
Yeah, it's not just you. They had me until Chris Adonis showed up. And then I realized that then you kind of knew where this was going. So I don't know what the deal is, but they just have it in their heads that Eli Drake needs to work with somebody. Like, God forbid the guy get over on his own, which is stupid because we saw him getting over on his own. He was great at it. But then they stuck him with Tyrus, and it didn't work. Now they've got him with Chris Adonis, which, why? Okay, I get it. Chris Adonis was a GFW guy, so Jarrett is very loyal to his people, so he's gonna be pushing Chris Adonis. But I feel like they're gonna have Eli Drake be the warm-up for Chris Adonis to feud with Moose. And it's stupid, because you've got Chris Adonis in the spot that Eli Drake should be in. They can't get it through their heads that this would work so much better without friggin' Chris Masters, who nobody cares about. This guy is boring. No one ever liked him. This whole thing is stupid. It's just because he was in GFW, so Jarrett's got to take care of him because he was a GFW guy, but no one cares about GFW, for fuck's sake, Jeff. Just get it through your fucking head. But no, I'm with you. It's dumb. I wish Chris Masters would just go away. And if it was Moose versus Eli Drake, then you'd have something. But I feel like, if anything, it's going to be like Eli Drake being Chris Masters' sidekick or whatever, which is just stupid. Like, why can't they just push Eli Drake as a solo act? It makes no sense at all. This guy should be knocking on the door of the main events right now, not being stuck with another loser who's just going to drag him down.
You know, I mean, that's one way they could go with the storyline. The other way I took it is Chris Masters or Chris Adonis is jumping into Eli Drake's business. That's kind of another way I see it. I know they helped each other beat down Moose, but somehow, and I hope this happens, I somehow hope it gets turned into a triple threat with Eli Drake basically saying, don't jump the ladder, so to speak. Don't skip me. I want my title shot. So I'm hoping that's where it goes. Because, like you said, I don't want to see a Chris Adonis, Eli Drake friendship. That does nothing for me. And both their characters just it won't allow it. And also, I kind of agree with you. Like, I'm okay with Chris Adonis going on the roster, but for him to be in this prominent feud right away, it's just I'm not feeling that. So. Anyways, moving on, we had our next match on Impact, which was a mixed tag match. It was Eddie and Alicia Edwards versus Davey Richards and Angelina Love. I thought the match was really well done, and the after-match activity was really cool as well. But first, what did you think of this match?
I think there's a running theme on this show where a lot of the guys are getting shown up by the women. Because in several segments, you got the women doing the more memorable stuff. And I don't say that as a criticism of Eddie and Davey, but we kind of know what they're going to do together. We've seen them wrestle each other a number of times. But for me, the most memorable thing was Angelina and Alicia. Psychologically, I think they really had it there, how Alicia shows up on the stage and then she just makes a beeline for Angelina and they start just going at it immediately. That's how you're supposed to act when you hate somebody. You're not just going to, like, work a headlock or some stupid shit like that. It reminded me a while back when I'm going to reference WWE here for a second. Don't shoot me. But when Brie Bella was doing the feud with Stephanie McMahon, okay, Brie got fired or something, and then she came back, and then they build up to this street fight, and you think it's going to be kind of, like, really violent and where they're going to get all their frustrations out finally, but then they just kind of work a normal match and they don't really do anything out of the ordinary, and it's like, where'd all the hatred go? Where's all the emotion? You just didn't see it. So the psychology was just dumb. But here, you got two women who hate each other, so they just go at it and they just start beating the piss out of each other, and I like that. I wasn't sure about these two at first, but God bless them. They're really earning their place in this feud. You got Alicia jumping off the top turnbuckle to the floor onto everybody. You got Alicia being put through a table. Good for Angelina doing the right thing and eating the pin to put Alicia over. That's very big of her. Also, you got the men doing their thing. They worked the majority of the match, and they did what Eddie and Davey do so well. But for me, the women were the most memorable thing about this.
I agree. I think the women do add another element to this feud, and I thought the power bomb through the table was just absolutely sick. I thought that made it just an awesome segment. And I know I had the Knockouts podcast with you about a month ago, and I said, I really didn't see Alicia. She's got to show me a little bit more, but I felt in this match I actually could get behind her character, and I actually kind of felt bad for her and Eddie because Davey and Angelina are just making their lives miserable right now. So I thought the ending was just spectacular. The power bomb and the
Davey really put it over the top too, forcing Eddie to watch as his wife went through the table. That's a pretty despicable heel thing to do. That was really good.
That's great storytelling as well. Now, we don't know what the match is going to be at Slammiversary, but do we have what do you think, like a 6 Sides of Steel mixed tag match maybe? Or, I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking.
I think it depends where Eddie's at health-wise. I think he's on the India tour, so if he's not cleared yet, he's probably pretty close. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if they'd want to go, I don't know if they'd want to do, Full Metal Mayhem with him just yet, because he's coming off a knee surgery. So, I don't know, maybe a street fight? Maybe a tables match? Not sure, but I think like a ladder match or a cage match, that's probably off the menu for now.
Yeah, no, that's true. I know he said he had a minor injury and he was getting surgery to clean some things up, but who knows how long that's going to be. I'm hoping some type of big gimmick match to blow off the feud, because I think it definitely needs to be a mixed tag as well, because all 4 of them are in this feud together. So unless they have 2 singles matches, I mean, I'm sure they could do it that way, but I just kind of feel like all 4 of them are kind of intertwined now. Before it was more just Eddie and Davey, but now with Alicia being in the picture, I think they're all kind of in this together. So I think they kind of have to have a match with all 4 of them at Slammiversary. I think that would work better. But like you said, it all depends on Eddie Edwards' health. So the next part we had on Impact, I'm not sure I should bring this up, but I'm going to. It was a Rockstar Spud promo promising to get revenge on Swoggle next week. I could have swore he was supposed to show up this week on Impact, but maybe my memory's a little fuzzy. But Rockstar Spud promises to get revenge on Swoggle this upcoming week. Are you enjoying this feud at all, or is this just your simple comedy piss break feud?
This is such a waste of Rockstar Spud. Have the videos been funny? Yeah. But it's funny because of Rockstar Spud, not because the feud is good. Oh, God. I face palm every time I see this, because it's Hornswoggle. This is so WWE. He's feuding with friggin' Hornswoggle. Okay, they're playing it for laughs, but so what? Rockstar Spud is too talented to waste in this cornball piss break comedy feud with a little person. This is stupid. I trust Rockstar Spud to milk something entertaining out of this because, yeah, he is that talented. But if he's that talented, then give him something worthwhile to do. Why are you wasting him with stuff like this when you've already got your special attraction comedy feud with the announcer stuff? Why do you need a second one? Why do you have to waste a guy who could be doing so much more feuding with... It's frustrating to me. I feel like I've been over this a number of times on my show, so I'm just kind of reiterating stuff I've already said, but I'm frustrated. I wish they had something better for Spud. It kind of seems like they've put him in the comic relief role, which is just a waste of his talents. I think, I'm with Raven Effect. If anything, this guy could be a fantastic mouthpiece or a heel manager for somebody. His work with EC3 back when they were together was just friggin' gold. And to see what they're doing with him right now is just, why are you wasting this guy? He's one of the most talented people you've got, and you've got him feuding with a friggin' midget. I'm sorry, I'm not on board with this at all.
Do you think this is actually going to be a match at Slammiversary?
I think it'll be an angle at Slammiversary. they might play it off as a match, but it'll be filler. Probably be like another come down segment, another comic relief segment. They might present it as a match, but it'll be like more of an angle than anything.
You know who I'm starting to vision Rockstar Spud as is the current Eric Young. And when I say that, Eric Young had so many different angles before he finally, got the one he was pretty, notable. Well, I mean, he had the heavyweight title run as the face, but then he turned into the crazy maniac one. But before that, whenever they needed a comic relief angle, they always got Eric Young. And Eric Young always knocked it out of the park. And that's kind of what I'm seeing with Rockstar Spud. Hopefully, something really, really good is going to come out of this. I'm hoping. Hornswoggle or Swoggle as a heel is different, but I don't know. I just hope they can turn chicken salad from chicken shit. That's all I hope for. So, all right. So after this, we had the main event, which was a triple threat match, no DQ. James Storm, Magnus, and EC3. EC3 reigned supreme. I thought this match was phenomenal. I believe it was a good 20 minutes. They pulled out all the stops. I think everybody had at least two finishers before we finally got EC3 the win. I just thought the ending where EC3 kind of pulls the win out of nowhere, I thought that was pretty cool. And, you knew whoever got the next – at a certain point, you knew whoever got the next big move off was going to win, and you were just kind of waiting on the edge of your seat to see what was going to happen. Me personally, I didn't want EC3 to win. I know Raven Effect will kill me for that. I know that's his favorite. He believes the company should be built around him, but I was honestly rooting for James Storm because I think now is the time. I mean, if you're going to actually have a serious run with James Storm, I thought now was the time. The match was phenomenal. I thought Magnus did a great job. EC3 did a great job. James Storm did a great job. But I was really hoping for James Storm to win this. Nothing against EC3, but it's like we just got him and Bobby Lashley at Bound for Glory. And with Impact Wrestling only having 2 pay-per-views, well, 3 if you count One Night Only Live, and you just had EC3 versus Bobby Lashley, I wanted to see something different. But as far as the match goes, that was a 5-star match. I thought it was awesome. What were your thoughts?
Really good match. I think the last couple minutes were better than the rest of it. But that's where all the really good stuff was. But yeah, I liked the match a lot. One of their stronger main events in a while. I think they kind of exposed during this match how little sense the Magnus Bruce Pritchard thing makes. Because Josh Mathews said during this match, the winner of this one bypasses the GFW World Champion and goes to the main event at Slammiversary. So Magnus is getting exactly what he wants. And in actuality, he's in a better position than if he was still the GFW World Champion, but he's still pissed off at Bruce Pritchard. It makes no sense at all. I don't know why they're still doing this. The attention to detail is just not there. But yeah, a really good match. I'm fine with James Storm not winning because I kind of think they're building up to a King of the Mountain match at Slammiversary. And if so, I think he'll certainly be in that anyway. So I don't think it necessarily mattered too much who went over in this one. But yeah, they told a good story. You got the 2 heels ganging up on Storm. He finally gets them to turn on each other with those missed chair shots. I think it was chair shots. Yeah. But yeah, great match. Told a good story. I'm fine with EC3 winning. I think Magnus is not necessarily clicking right now. I think they got to get out of this Bruce Pritchard GFW thing and get him something else. But yeah, really strong main event, no complaints.
Well, you just saw my reaction when you said King of the Mountain match. That would definitely make sense because Jarrett's back in the fold, and that was always a Slammiversary special.
Yeah, we haven't seen one in a while, too.
No, we haven't. I think the last one was on correct me if I'm wrong, but it was on the Britain tour the last time we went to Great Britain. The one with Will Ospreay when he was there for a quick 2 minutes.
Possibly.
Jimmy Havoc was in that match, I want to say as well. But I believe that
I also, Bram was the, what was the title called? King of the Mountain champion at that time. So, and see, I thought that was for number one contender, but now that you mention it, I mean, Alberto El Patron obviously has a case to be put in that match. And so does James Storm, really, because it was such a great match. I mean, and the way EC3 won, he just kind of stole it after both guys, kind of did the damage to each other. Not saying EC3 didn't do damage to them, but the way it came off, I'm hoping for a King of the Mountain match. I would love that. I think you could have Magnus, Alberto El Patron, James Storm, EC3, Bobby Lashley. I mean, that would be great.
Yeah, throw Eli Drake in there too.
Yeah, why not? It's usually, isn't it? Is it 5 or 6? Is it 5 or is it 6?
I don't remember. I want to say it kind of depends. But I mean, you could certainly do either one in there. I don't think it's really set in stone.
No, I think they may have had times they've done 5 and then times they've done 6 as well. So, but still, if it's a King of the Mountain match, I will be super happy. Then it's fine if EC3 won, because I just want James Storm to at least be in the main event at one of the biggest Impact Wrestling pay-per-views of the year. So if it's that, I'll be hoping for that. I hope if they are going to announce it, I hope they announce it soon. That would be awesome. And another guy that we didn't really see this past Impact was Matt Morgan. So you would think they would at least want to build a match for him, because I don't think he's really feuding with anybody right now. So that'd be something to look for. But anyways, Impact I thought was really good. That main event was just spectacular. I got to give Impact an 8 out of 10. The pros, the main event, the Rosemary face turn completed, the whole Josh Mathews, Scott Steiner thing I liked. So the only negatives was kind of the Bruce Pritchard segment and Rockstar spot, even though it was took very minimal time. I didn't really care for the GFW tag team title, even though it was a decent match. Just it's kind of filler at this point. So I'm going to give Impact an 8 out of 10 this week. What would your score be?
I don't think it would be quite as high as that. I think there were a few things that they really didn't need. The 2 tag matches didn't really scratch me where I itch. One was just kind of enhancement to get the VOW over. The other was kind of overshadowed by the women. But they also had some good stuff. He had the Rosemary Alley stuff I just marked the fuck out for. Great main event. Mixed tag was great. I think they need to – I want to see more attention to detail when it comes to certain storylines, primarily Magnus and Bruce Pritchard. They got to do some surgery on that one, because that's not clicking. That being said, I will take Bruce Pritchard over Karen Jarrett any day. Not a perfect show. I think maybe give it like a 7.5 maybe. I'm a tough grader though, so I don't think I liked it as much as you did, but there was a lot to like regardless.
Yeah, I think we got a little more details on what Slammiversary is going to look like, which is always good to sell your pay-per-view a little over a month ahead of time. So that's good. We had the return of a few people, and that's always good to see. Hopefully we'll get a little more X Division stuff this week. I believe they did announce that Loki is going to face Andrew Everett, I believe, on this next Impact. I think they announced that. So we're also going to get the return of Rockstar Spud. And I don't know if they announced any other matches. But, yeah. So anyways, that's our show. FK9, do you have any final thoughts before we go?
#Storm for Champ.
I could definitely get down for that. Yeah, I don't really have any thoughts either, but just want to thank you guys for being patient with us. Hopefully we don't go on 2-week hiatuses anymore, but we can't promise anything. Stuff happens and people have lives, so it's tough to get together at times, but we hope to get back to you, and we will definitely have a Slammiversary show. We will also have a Slammiversary pre-show where we give our picks and our opinions on the matches. And then we'll also have a Slammiversary post show, so look forward to that. But anyways, I am Hurls, and we're out.